everyone to our University Showcase for the University of Oklahoma Norman. I'm Emily Titchener, Director of University Transfer here at Tulsa Community College. I'm going to pop my email into the chat. I'm so happy you could join us today. It's a great opportunity to learn more about University of Oklahoma. And if you are considering going to Norman, to the University of Oklahoma for your transfer, this is a great time to ask questions, to learn more about the university overall. I'm so excited to have Allie here with us, transfer admissions from the Norman campus. She's got a presentation to go over some details, and then we're going to have time for questions. And I just want to let you know that we have lots of opportunities for you to interact with universities that you are curious about or want to learn more about, considering your time after TCC to complete your bachelor's degree. So this is not your only opportunity to get connected. If you have questions afterward, you'll be able to reach out to Allie, reach out to me, or anyone in our team to get connected. We want to make sure you have all the pieces of information you need. It's a big decision. So thank you for taking some time out of your afternoon. And we will be here to support. Feel free to put questions in the chat. We are recording this session, so I'll probably record the front part of it that's informational, and then we can stop the recording when we get towards more questions that involve you all and your questions about your personal transfer. So we'll record the front part and I'll let you know when we have ended the recording. But thank you so much again for joining us, and feel free to reach out to me in the chat, and I'm going to turn it over to Allie.
Thank you, Emily. Hi. So I'll just do a quick introduction. So my name is Allie Pham. I am one of the transfer admissions counselor here in the OU Norman campus. I am a first generation student when I was at OU a couple years ago. And then I did both of my undergrad and my master degree at OU. I did my undergrad in psychology with a minor in nonprofit, and then I went to study educational policy at graduate level. So my presentation is briefly gonna let you know how our academic what academic programs we offer, how the transfer process work, and if there are any other questions that you guys have at the end of the presentation, please feel free to ask me. I would love, engagement during the presentation as well. Give me a thumbs up if you like an information. So yeah, just let's engage, and it should be about 20 to 30 minutes. So I'll go ahead and share my screen really quick. So throughout the presentation, you're going to learn what it means to be a part of OU and what OU represent. So currently, OU is considered a public flagship institution. We were founded back in 1890. Our first president, David Ross Boyd, stepped out of his train and onto a beautiful land, and he envisioned what could be the University of Oklahoma. So he wanted to really set a good foundation for you, for our future students, making sure that you are prepared in the journey that you're going after graduation, and the journey throughout life. So currently, we have about 22,000 undergraduate students on our campus. So while this number may seem quite large, but at the same time, I can testify that once you're on campus and you're able to tour our beautiful campus, this number is going to seem very small really quick. For me, as a first gen student, I wanted to go to an institution that had that family feel, but also big enough where there are resources. It was really important to me in my success of how I graduated from OU. So don't let that number scare you. And then on this slide, you're going to see that we are represented across the nation. This is a density map. So of course, the darker the shade, that's where the majority of our students come from. So you see Oklahoma, Texas, of course, California, Colorado, and we have national admissions counselor throughout the region as well to help not only recruit, but help our students transition where they're living over to the University of Oklahoma. And we're innovators. So when I think about innovation, I think about like research, new ideas, new products. But obviously, like research isn't only like for STEM. So OU is considered as a tier one research university. That just means that we're the most active. We do a lot of research in the nation. And like I said, research didn't have to be STEM. There's opportunities to do research if you're coming in, let's say, as a psychology major or as a business major. One of the things that I like to recommend or advise my students is reach out to their professor for these opportunities. And I can definitely talk about it more in the later slides. And here is our Tom Love Innovation Hub. Basically, we have the fabrication lab and the visualization lab. So in the fab lab, you're able to create anything that you want. So like for me, I've had friends who would bring their own wood and then create coasters. Some of them may even like start selling them as a side hustle. So everything that you make within this hub is completely yours. OU does not own any of it. I know that our architecture student, they use the visualization lab quite often with the VR goggles, the virtual reality goggles, to kind of see like the buildings and scaling of everything. So it's a really good space for entrepreneurship and to foster your creativity. And here we are champions. So I want to emphasize that while OU is definitely known for our athletics and sports, I want to highlight our academic programs. Um, can you guys tell me like what you want to study? Do you guys know yet? You can put it in the chat. I like to see like if you know like because for me, I specifically came in, like I said, as a psychology major. However, I did go in as an undecided major. And so I did have my options. I definitely explore my options. And one good way that if you don't know what major you want to study yet, you can definitely go to ou.mymajors.com. It's basically a aptitude test based on your interest. And let me see if I can see our chat really quick. Psychology, okay, biochemistry and meteorology. Awesome. I know that we have a great program for meteorology and psychology and biochemistry. Definitely a lot of opportunities for research and involvement. And so here I want to kind of talk a little about more our academic programs. So if, let's say like you're in the College of Meteorology, I know that you can definitely get practical experiences, whether, going to the OU National Weather Center and doing research with them or your professor, other programs that if you're interested in, like for instance, business, I know that they have a um, partnership with Fidelity Bank, and the program is called Integrated Business Core. It's where like you or a group of student will come together, think of a company or product, and you will like set up the design, the marketing, all the profits that you do get, because you do go around and try to sell your product, will go to a community organization of your choice. So it's pretty cool. You get to give back to the community while gaining that practical experiences. And for me particularly, like when I was doing nonprofit, I was able to do a lot of internship and throughout my classes, and we also worked on like fundraising with certain nonprofit in my fundraising class. And these are skills that you can put on your resume, and also like making connections right before you graduate from college. And we have 38 national titles. So OU is very well known for football, but also gymnastic and softball. And when you get to OU, your OU student ID is pretty much like a golden ticket. Um, it will get you into a lot of sports for free, like gymnastic, volleyball, with the exception, of course, football and I believe men's basketball. You will have to like, it is at a discounted price for student. So those are the only two sports that you have to give a little bit money to attend to the events. And you're gonna hear a lot of this, that we are a family. And at OU, it's really about like building relationship, keeping each other accountable, and also mentorship. I know for me, like I said, that was one of the reasons why I came to OU, is how connected I felt when I got to campus. And I was also a part of the TRIO program, which is for first generation low income student. Um, and they definitely helped me throughout my 4 years of undergrad and also my master degree. And also with that, we have like a 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So to foster that relationship with your professor or your TA, I always recommend students to, like, if you're not already doing it now, get to know your professor, like go to their office hours, ask about research opportunities with them. These are a really good way to get experience, but also letters of recommendation. If you're trying to apply for a fellowship, or a job internship. These are really good way to get connected. And our average class size is about 32 students. Only 4% of our classes are more than 100 students. Typically, these are your ology classes, or like your biology, psychology, maybe chemistry. Typically, these are like freshman classes. So as a transfer student, most likely you're going to be already entering your core classes for your major. So those are typically like at 30 students or less. So like for my experience, like even when I was in large lecture hall, we were also divided up into discussions, smaller sections. So I was still able to get the one-on-one interaction even when I was coming in and taking freshman introduction classes. And then it got smaller when I got to like the core classes of my psychology program. And feeling belonging and getting involved on campus is really important to us. And so we offer over 500 student organizations. So whether you're interested in joining a group of students based on your major interest, religious interest, cultural affinity groups, there's a tons of that, and I highly recommend doing so. I know particularly for psychology, we had the psychology club, and we met once a month, and there was always free food, free pizza. We got together, talked about internship opportunities and what was going on through the department. So good way to get insight on the inside your majors. And we also have a office dedicated to our students of color or underserved communities. This office is called Multicultural Student Life. We have the African American Student Life, Latinx Student Life, Asian American Student Life, and as well as American Indian. And they put on phenomenal events throughout the semester. And I'll talk about one of them a little bit more in just a bit. And if you're looking to something to do on campus during the weekend, right? The Fine Arts District on OU is really awesome. You're gonna find one of the cheapest Broadway show tickets. As a student, I believe if you buy it before the event, it's $10. And as you can see, we have over 400 recitals, concerts, performances every single year. So I highly recommend like checking at least like one, concert, Broadway show at least once when you're on campus. And Norman is more than just a college town. It is known as the City Festivals. So if you look on this slide, this is the picture is from Day of the Dead event that's put on by our Latinx Student Life. It was completely student led, and so yeah, so every single month, I know that there's always something going on in Norman, whether it's that's the music festival, the medieval fair. I know that every second Friday of each month, there's the art walk. So always something to do if you kind of want to get out of campus for a little bit. And it's still walking distance as well. Um, and if you want to travel to OKC, Oklahoma City, it's just 30 minutes from here. And there's also lots of opportunities, businesses, food to eat. The Paseo, I know there's Scissortail Park that's just completed. It's pretty nice. It's really, really beautiful. But in addition to that, as you can see, like Oklahoma City is the third most affordable city to live, work and live, and there are jobs and internships. A lot of my nonprofit internships were within Oklahoma City that I was able to get the opportunity to work with them. And we highly encourage everybody, to get some sort of study abroad or interaction outside of the United States. And so currently we have international students over from 125 countries. And we also have international admissions counselor who particularly travel to regions to help these students and to help recruit students onto our campus. And I believe we have roughly at least 2,000 or more international students right now on our campus. Study abroad opportunities, whether you want to study about 3 weeks or a whole semester or a whole year, there's always something that is I know that is being offered, and there are scholarships as well. And I always encourage, especially if you are a first generation student and low income, I know there are tons of scholarships that OU offer based on my experience and what I've seen with my peers that I used to study with. Typically, all of their expenses were paid. And here, I think that, in general, college is a great investment. At OU, particularly, like I said, I chose to go because of the resources, the scholarship, and affordability, particularly for myself and my family as well. And one of the things that, when you get onto campus is the college fairs, the career services, the aftermath of graduating from college. These services are still available. So like I still have access to it. The jobs, I know that there's at least 20,000 jobs being listed. And you can go and get like a mock interview, get prepared, have your resume critique. So I think in general, like college is a good investment in the long run. And we want, like, and this is why you're here, to learn more about OU, to, make the best decision and the best fit for you. So here, this is the average direct cost estimate based on 30 credit hours. So that's a whole academic year. If you're an Oklahoma resident, it's about $24,912. And then if you're a non-resident, it's, I believe, $40,293. We also have what's called flat rate tuition. So how that works is that if you're taking classes between 12 to, I believe, 19 credit hours, your tuition is going to be charged at 15 no matter what. So this is only for tuition, not fees. So let's say if you take 12, the 3 credit hours left is going to go towards bank hours. So that you can use for winter intersession courses or summer classes. For me, how I utilized this was I knew that, I was going to get involved on campus and I was working at the same time, I was working two jobs. So I would take about 12 credit hours during like the fall semester. And then the 3 credit hours, I would do it during intersession. So then, I'm still utilizing a total of 15 credit hours. Um, you do have to use those banked hours by the end of that summer, so the academic year, the following summer, because it does not roll over. And if you're able to take advantage of going over to 15 credit hours, I would encourage you to do so if you're able to. And how to join the OU family. For transfer, you're going to apply specifically through our website, through our application at apply.ou.edu. Currently, we admit about over 2,500 transfer students. So this involved domestically, in-state, out-of-state, and we also have international transfer students as well. So how this process is going to look like, of course, first apply and complete your application. Within that application, you do need to send official transcript. We need like transcript from each institution that you've attended. And it needs to go directly from your school. So like from TCC directly to us to be considered official. Now, if you're coming in less than 24 credit hours, we do need your high school transcript as well as ACT, SAT scores. If you have more than that, then you don't need it. Then we don't need your high school transcript or scores. There is an application fee. It's about $40. However, we do offer fee waivers as well. And I always encourage students to always apply for FAFSA. And then when you are applying for admission to OU, you're also applying for scholarship as well. And I'll go over a little bit more about the scholarships that we offer. So for fall 2021, the prior deadline is going to be March 1st for scholarships, but the final hard deadline is going to be June 1st. And then if you're applying for spring, the general overall deadline is November 1st. So as a transfer student, your admissions is based on your total hours and your GPA. So for instance, since one of us is studying psychology, you would be under the College of Arts and Sciences. So if you are applying under 60 credit hours, you'll need at least a 2.5 GPA. But if you're coming in with at least 60 credit hours, then you just need to meet the 2.0 GPA. Same thing for biochem. Biochem is under College of Arts and Sciences as well. So same GPA requirement. For meteorology, you're going to be under the College of Earth and Energy. So you see that it's a 2.5 across the board. And then for scholarship, if you're a resident, whether resident or non-resident, we offer automatic merit-based scholarship. So basically, if you meet the GPA requirement, you're going to receive the scholarship that's based on that GPA. So for instance, at least a 3.25 guarantees a $2,000 scholarship. So that's $1,000 each year for 2 years. $4,000 if you have at least a 3.5, and then $6,000 is our highest. And this is for resident. The transfer leadership, that's going to be based on your community involvement, your school involvement, and then your essay within the application. The Phi Theta Kappa, that one is going to be based on the essay portion as well. And you also have to be a active member of the organization when you are applying. And then this is the non-resident transfer scholarships. quite similar. The only thing that's different is the award amount. And then once you apply and got admitted to OU, you'll go to oubound.ou.edu. This is where you'll find all of the steps that you'll need to do after being admitted. So setting up your advising appointment with your advisor, housing contract if you're living on campus, and then any other required documents to finish before you get enrolled. Virtual resources. Currently, me and my coworkers, the rest of the transfer admissions counselor, we are doing virtual one-on-ones. We have set times every single week that student can sign up and meet with us. I know that we are also doing transfer enrollment or transfer visit Fridays. Our first one for this spring is actually tomorrow. And we are going to have several other ones throughout the semester. So I highly encourage you to sign up and get registered. Is another way to kind of learn more about your particular college, and then also meeting with us one-on-one as well. And we do have virtual tours, and those are typically offered Saturday and I believe Tuesday, Thursday. And everything that we do, especially during this pandemic, we are trying our best to keep everything safe, and of course, safety and healthy, and helping our student be successful as they are, maneuvering through the college process and until they graduate. And everything is constantly changing. So we are here for you. We want to make sure that you feel supported throughout your journey. And follow us on social media. Keep, to get some updates at Go to OU, and see what our current students are doing on campus and how their experiences are, how they're going as well. Okay, so that's all I have. I'm going to open it up. I hope I didn't take too much time for questions. And thank you so much for letting me kind of talk for 30 minutes.
Sorry, I was muted.
Mute.
Thank you so much. That was some fantastic information. I'm sure our students have some questions. Before we turn it over to that section, I just wanted to ask you a couple of things.
Yeah.
So, what is the one piece of advice you would give our transfer students, the one things you would tell them to make sure to do or plan for right now?
Yeah, so one thing I would definitely recommend is, and this is from the questions and my experience working with previous students, is if you're wanting to see what credits you need when you transfer over to OU and what credits you already have, I always advise my students or advise you all to look at the OU degree check sheets for your major. So whether that's psychology, biochem, making sure that you're on track before getting over to OU, transferring to OU. And if you go onto just ou.edu/transfer, you'll see the database and the major degree check sheets. And I would use those two tools to figure out your credits, and making sure that you have them, or if you need to take certain classes, maybe still at TCC before transferring.
And you might have mentioned this, but can students talk to one of your advisors in advance if they are trying to make sure they are on the right track, taking the right classes here at TCC before they transfer to OU?
So currently, like, our academic advisor is only meeting with current students. There are some cases that they might be able to meet with an advisor, but typically the best way right now would be to use the database and the major check sheets. Those two are really going to be really helpful during the transition.
All right, thank you. And I see we have several student questions in the chat. I don't know if you'd prefer me to read them or if you want to just grab a few.
I can read them. I can see it. So the first one is, can we apply for scholarships before we receive admission, or should we wait until after admission? So your scholarship, thanks Glendy for the question. So your scholarship application, it's part of the whole application when you're applying for admission. So when you're applying for admission, you're also applying for scholarships. So yeah, so like fill out the essay portions to the best of your ability, and really make sure to tell your story is what I like to tell my students. Like really tell your story, why you want to come to OU, and like showcase like your community involvement for the scholarships. And then once you are a current student at OU, we do have what's called a cash scholarship portal. You have to be a current OU student. And once you are a current OU student and have an OU GPA and some credit hours from OU, you can apply for the cash scholarship. And this is basically a portal where you're applying for financial aid scholarship at OU, your department scholarship based on your major, but you do have to be a current student. And if you are a working student currently, we do have what's called OU Work Assistant Tuition Waiver, and it's specifically for students who is working at least 25 hours or more per week. It is a tuition waiver, so if you have Oklahoma Promise, those won't be stackable. Just keep in mind with that. And then how do Raise Me Micro Scholarship work? So kind of similar with Oklahoma Promise, Raise Me is going to be applied towards tuition. So the way that it works is when you apply to OU and you have these micro scholarships from Raise Me, if the amount that the whole OU financial aid package offer to you is higher than your Raise Me, then that will be the scholarship amount that you'll get. So it will override Raise Me, if that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. So we give you the one that's like the highest, basically. So if the OU scholarship is higher than your Raise Me, then that's the one that you're gonna receive. And how do we know when we are ready to transfer? Should we aim for a certain number of credits, or is it major specific, the requirement? So this is really honestly up to you, Jared. If you feel like you are ready to make that transition, we are here for you. The only thing that I recommend to students is to consider about the 24 college credit hours. So basically, if you're coming in with less than 24 credit hours, we are going to need like your ACT scores, your high school information to make a decision on your admission. And then also you are going to be required to live on campus if you're coming in with less than 24 credit hours. And then for the transfer scholarships, you do have to earn at least 24 credit hours already. So it may be a best interest to come once you have earned those 24 college credit hours. But that's a really good question. How long after you apply do you receive a decision? So once you submit your application, and of course, submissions does not mean completion. So you can still turn in your documents after the submission deadline, and once you submitted the application. So once you complete the application and we have every required transcript and documents, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for us to get a decision back to you. Yeah, so there are several different housing options. Typically for dorms, they are for incoming freshmen. If you're a transfer student, we do have our apartment style living or living styles. We have Traditions West as well as Traditions East. I know some students also live in Crately, so these are all more like the apartment. We also have the residential colleges. So I like to see them as they almost look like the inside of these residential colleges look like Hogwarts, almost. And in there, it's very academic based. So like the programming and the events that going in those residential colleges, it's a space for like academia, like within academia, and it's really for students. I know a lot of international students also live in these residential spaces or colleges as well. So residential colleges, Traditions East, Traditions West, Crately are some of the options for upperclassmen.
Those are some great questions. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I would go back to the question about when to transfer to, and I would echo what Ali said. It's such a personal decision, but we definitely encourage everyone doing what you're doing today, having these explorations early, talking to the university early, talking with your advisors. So strongly recommend all those options to find when the best time is for you in your program to transfer. And I will go ahead and stop our recording. And then those were all really great overview, general questions. And Ali and I are both going to hang out a little bit longer so we can answer any additional questions you have. And I will also ask Ali if she can provide some follow-up resources that I can email to those who've attended today, maybe some of the links she mentioned, and we'll be happy to get that out to everyone. So, okay, I'm going to stop our recording.